Hey, I'm Nick in the States, and this is my Agile Guitar Forum's rig rundown. Alright, so here's my little amp and guitar corner of my family room. And basically, we live in a slab ranch, and behind those doors is actually my furnace. But it makes a perfect little spot to hang up some of the pretty babies. So let's start with the amp lineup, and my ever-changing with anywhere where you see there's a natural gap, like on top of that Bugera, it's because there's something new coming in to go there. But start with the old standby, my Mesa single rectifier, Reverb 50. Really cool amp, does cleans and push tones, and then also has the vintage and modern voicing. I think I got to retube her. She's just a little off at the moment, but still sounds great, but she can't keep up with things that have quite a bit less wattage than she does. Above that is my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. It's one of the limited editions with the brown Toilex and the cool old school grill, the oatmeal grill. It's got a special edition Weber speaker in it, and she rocks out. She's everything that a clean Fender amp that needs to be, and pretty cool. Blackstar HT5R mini stack. It's funny, I was trading in two guitars, and it happened to be that I wanted to go buy one of these new. And when I traded them at the music around in the street, they had this bad boy in for exactly the amount of money that they offered me for my trade. So that shit worked out pretty well. Two 1x12s close back cabs. It's the 5-watt head with reverb, and that Marshall-y with a twist kind of overdrive on it. And the Blackstar is just really great, and it's a great recording because it has an emulated out, which is kind of the devil to some people, but it records really, really well. So anyway, cool ass amp. Next is Bugera BC30, kind of your matchless DC30 clone. 2-channel non-switching amp, each with high and low. Left side's really a lot like a simplified Vox AC30, whereas the right side is a beast in and unto itself. And when you want to get the gain up in one of the different tone notches you can get on, you can get some just massively killer overdriven tones. Cool thing is it's got a master volume. It's got a cut switch to kind of cut some of the highs and the lows out of it, I believe. And then on the back, it also has a Pento triode, so you can knock it down to 15 watts, which is pretty sweet. But on 30, it just sings. Next is my Ibanez Tube Screamer TCA 15 head, and that's actually a 15-watt tube head that has basically an 808 Tube Screamer built into it. And she's cool. The clean tones out of this thing it's all right. But once you kick in the Tube Screamer side, it really kind of opens up. And I'm driving that through my 8-ohm vintage 30 Harley Benton cab, which is just about getting broken in. So that's kind of sweet. Next we have my Vox AC4 TV head. And this is the model that has upside down, but really just a tone knob, a volume knob, and then a 4-watt, 1-watt, 1/4 watt switch. So basically you can get to break up with the volume knob. It sounds good right about up until 3/4 of the way around. And then you can use the wattage one really to get overdriven tones at room volume, or lower the volume and clean up to the 4 watts, and you get nice, those AC30 type clean tones, and it's really pretty. It's funny, I A-B'd the Bugera's AC30-ish channel with the Vox's one, and they hold up until a certain part of volume. Below that is a recent acquisition. That's it's actually the matching cab. It's beat up quite a bit, but inside that is a Celestion 25-watt greenback, and that's a 16-ohm cab, which is good because that Vox head only does 16-ohm out. And that's a buttery, really kind of nice cab. I haven't tried much else through it because I only got it about 10 o'clock last night. So that's that guy. To the amps lately, to the guitars lately, I've been favoring my Harley Benton L450 Plus. Has been getting a lot of the play just because she does all the things a Les Paul should do, but actually brightens up and has kind of high output pickups that really make it a lot of fun. I don't use a floor tuner. I actually use the little Snark latch-on guitar tuner because it's easy. I don't seem to lose it, and makes it just simple for me to stay in tune. And the other three guys there's the S600 that I've done a video on, the E35 that I did a video on with the Bigsby and the Towner DTB. And then last but not least is a little $100, it's a Setnex Alex Chase quilt top Les Paul DC Santana kind of deal with abalone inlays in the neck and heck of a nice little Cobra, and it's in the headlight. But action's really good. The pickups are all right, but she's a fun little beast, and I love Les Paul DC shapes. Now we'll go down to the pedal board, and this has really been a project the last month or so of kind of getting my pedals together. Jofa's actually making me a really cool Jofa board, a lot like the one that Funkenstein got, actually pretty much identical to it, that I'll be able to put all these on. I kind of like big pedals for some reason, or it seems to end up that way. So aside from my amp pedals, so Fender, Blackstar, and the Mesa, first in the chain I come into a Big Muff. Sorry there. And this is just the cheap new New York one. I think I got it for like 60, 70 bucks. And that's just fuzzy awesome. If you've never played with a Big Muff Pi, well, that sounds wrong, but you should. It gives you just that dirty, fuzzy overdrive that just rocks the house. Next year, I've got my Boss Blues Driver BD2. And for a while, I used this kind of like a lot of people use their tube screamers, so mild overdrive, just that slightly driven blues tones. It's very articulate. It's very clear. You know, you don't lose a lot of the tone out of it, and it's just a great workhorse pedal. I know Keeley does a mod for them, but I've less. This one's actually one of the stock ones. Next is another new pickup. This is the Jet City Afterburner dual stage overdrive, and it's not the most articulate overdrive, but when you get a tube amp hot and then you run this through it, oh my god, it's just fucking thunder. Once again, apology for language. And the cool thing, and then it has a boost, which boosts it up by some number of dB, adjustable by the knob, and kind of gives you a nice, just a hot tube amp. You step on this thing and it melts your face off. So it's pretty cool, especially because none of my amps, for the most part, aren't crazy high gain. That's the pedal that really kind of gets me there. Still kind of learning it, but I picked up, I think, 45 bucks at Musician's Friend last week, and she's pretty sweet. Next, I go into a Soul Food. You know, this is their Klon Centaur-inspired pedal. It's definitely not as nice as a Klon, and if you see some of the shootouts, you see kind of its shortcomings, but it's nice, especially with a bunch of pedals, just to give a little bit of boost to the guitar. And I tend to run the gain down pretty low. The treble a little bit rolled off too, just because the little AC4 in the end gets a little shrill if you don't keep an eye on treble on things. And the volume is just a little over 12 o'clock. And it just kind of gives a nice little pickup to the guitar and pushes things through nicely, especially if any of the guitars have kind of a lower output. Next, I go into the Harley Benton digital delay. I'm still learning delays, so this was a good cheap pedal, 25, 30 bucks, to kind of get a feel for it. I haven't really run a delay a lot in my lifetime, but it's really cool. I usually keep it, you know, pretty low just for that slapback delay and kind of to partner with a Big Muff for some just evilish tones. Next is one of the original runs of I believe it's the original one, Holy Grail Reverb, with Spring Hull and the Flurb, which is kind of like a flanger reverby thing. This is cool, though. However, I've got it running now. She's a little noisy, and I don't know if that's just the power. She seems real sensitive to the cleanliness of the power that goes in there, and I don't think this is going on the cleanest power. So, but for a lot of the amps I have that don't have reverb, which at least 3 of them don't, it kind of fakes the funk pretty well there. And the last thing, and I'd recommend this to anyone in the line, is the Voodoo Labs amp selector. And it's actually, so you can run I run my signal chain right into this, and then I go with 4 out. Ignore the cheap ass cable, I didn't have a 4th good cable. I got this last night too, kind of in a package deal with a Vox cab. And this guy, it's great, so I can run 4 amps at once, and I have this set up so that it's, you can run all 4 or step on and step off and bring ones in. You can also go exclusive mode where you step on 2 and it shuts off any of the whichever other one was on. The other great thing that this does is it actually has volume knobs on the pedal, so that if you have certain amps that just seem to run hotter, or you got to make just little adjustments on the fly, you can do it right here on the floor without having to go to the amp and kind of do tweaks and go back and switch back and forth. So it definitely does a nice job there from kind of maintaining the signal strength there. The other cool thing is it's got an always out, with the idea of running a tuner off that, but you could also run another amp. Nothing stops you there. Or go straight into a direct inbox and record the thing. Finally, what you can do is, there's 2 inputs, and you can divide this into perhaps 2 guitars and run guitars through different amps with different settings, that kind of stuff. I haven't really gone too nuts with that, but this guy replaced a cheap little live wire, which was like 20-30 bucks, and it was worth 20 or 30 bucks. it lasted pretty well for a little while, but she just was loud. And I'm actually running into an issue with my tube screamer because that amp creates a kind of a constant hiss and fuzz out of it whenever I run it there. So I don't run that through the amp selector, and I really don't know why that is the case. So that's my little rig rundown, and then if I swing quickly over, you can see that I've also got the 7 guitars up. There's a questionably suspect Gibson Les Paul to the left. There's another Harley Benton Gold Top P90. There's a Michael Kelly semi-hollow or full hollow double cut, kind of like a big boy version with F-holes, and it's pretty thick, of my regular Michael Kelly Hourglass Quilt, which is definitely one of my favorite guitars. Then my 7-Up Green Fender. It's kind of like a parts Clapton, so it's a Clapton body. It's a Clapton noiseless setup with a TBS or TBX boost and the mid boost and TBX tone control, with American Standard neck, all locking tuners, all that joy. 2014 Melody Maker Special with the Hot Liverpool GFS mini guys in there. And last but not least is my Flame Maple parts telly that I built. It's actually with a Flame Maple neck on it. I don't know if you can see the flame on the neck, but she's gorgeous. She's basically like a Bruce Springsteen guitar, but with all Flame Maple appointments to be super pretty. So, with that, I've been Nick in the States and or Niko Souza on the Agile Guitar Forums. This is my AGF rig rundown, and obviously I've got issues.